Hello, everybody. Welcome to my weird, wonderful world. And today I want to talk about bands, okay, that are the most influential, heavy bands that influenced me throughout the years. The ones that really kind of hooked me in and made me love heavy metal as a not necessarily that they're all categorized as heavy metal, but they are heavy albums, some more so than others, but I consider all these heavy. Now, before I begin that main subject, I do want to say that I have some videos that I want to make. For example, this week, probably on Monday or Tuesday, I will be giving a review of these. I'll be listening to them again in the earphones since I'm going to be doing a commission drawing for somebody. I'll keep you posted on that too. I want to show you certain stages of completion when I do that artwork. But these four albums, which is the first Chicago, Petunia and the Vipers, and then two albums by the Great Balancing Act, which is a local Moncton band here. I will be talking about them for sure. And like I said, that will probably be on either Monday or Tuesday. And I also want to have, like, within that, probably sometime in December. Now we've passed the 25th anniversary of this, but my favorite movie is still Fight Club. I had watched it maybe a few weeks ago, okay, and I've been thinking a lot about this movie in many ways, and I want to give you my synopsis, my what it means to me and all that, but that'll probably be sometime in December, early December. I also want to do what I call a watch along, not necessarily a movie review, but a watch along where I put it on my DVD player and watch it on my TV with the headphones and have you guys at home. And I would suggest, of course, that you see the movie first so there's no spoilers, and I'll be giving you my commentary of what I feel about the movie and think about the movie as I watch it. And I want to do it live so that you guys can join along and watch it with me, and we can, I try to do things like this, but it doesn't always pan out for me. But I'm hoping some of you guys will be interested in watching this with me. Again, just let me know down in the comments below what you think of that idea. And if I get a lot of people liking that idea, I'll probably try to do it. But it is something I want to do. But I am going to be doing my full review of this movie in December for sure. Also, that no, that's it. Let's go into the main subject. Now, I do have some honorable mentions. Nothing I showed in the thumbnail, of course, as you've seen, is in the 10 albums that I consider influential. Not necessarily my favorite, but they're influential. But I do have a couple of honorable mentions, definitely. I can't not start this list without an honorable mention to Kiss Kiss. One of the most influential albums that it should have been probably in my top 10, but my real heavy metal days didn't start until the 80s, until like probably early 80s to mid 80s, and then so on and so forth. So I have to give Kiss an honorable mention because it's heavy. It was heavy for the time, but it's not as heavy as what I'm about to show you guys. Another honorable mention, of course, would have to be this White Zombie, which is called the Sexorcisto, Devil Music Volume One. And I know it's what a title, but this was pretty influential in many respects, and made me love Rob Zombie and all that stuff. Another honorable mention, of course, would be Guns N' Roses' "Appetite for Destruction." And this is a pretty heavy album, and it was pretty influential. I became a Guns N' Roses. Unfortunately, how they steadily gone downhill after that. This would never they can never be as great as they were on this. Everything else after this is just kind of, yeah, just step by step going down. Even Quiet Riot. in this album here of mental health. I mean, I think Condition Critical is a little bit better in some respects, but this one and Condition Critical would probably be my favorites. But hearing those, Come On Feel the Noise, and a few others there, yeah, this was pretty influential and thus gets an honorable mention. And also, not the album I want, but this the only album I have so far. And this is again an honorable mention. It could have probably been in that top 10 list, but these other ones kind of did beat it out. And I would have to say it's I have Rust in Peace, but it would have been Peace Sells, but Who's Buying? That was the album that really got me into Megadeth, and probably one of the first ones I had heard. So far, this is the only one I have. I do want to get more Megadeth because I do love them, and so those are my honorable mentions. Now, let's go into my top 10. At number, yeah, it would be this. At number 10, Ozzy Osbourne's Bark of the Moon. I'll be leaving timestamps so you can get all to the right chapters of this episode. But yeah, Bark of the Moon by Ozzy Osbourne. This is at number 10. And of course, it's because of the video Bark of the Moon. The very first thing I ever heard of Ozzy was Bark of the Moon. And then they had the video for So Tired. And I thought of Ozzy as one of as a almost as equally a makeup artist. I've been, of course, subsequently proven wrong on that. But because in the video So Tired, he dresses up as five different characters, and in this, he's dressed up as a werewolf. So that's the image that I first got of Ozzy Osbourne as like a Mr. Dress Up makeup artist type of thing. But no, it was all just for the performance of this album here. But this was the start of it. And from then on, I discovered the older stuff with Randy Rhoads and so on and so forth. And yeah, I do love Ozzy Osbourne. Can't say exactly which one is my favorite album of Ozzy's, but this is probably a strong contender. I really do love it. Now, at number 9, I would have to go with I mean, this again wasn't the first thing I heard of Slayer, but South of Heaven was pretty influential. I mean, the first time I heard this album, especially like songs like Behind the Crooked Cross and Read Between the Lies and so on and so forth. This one here really captured my attention for Slayer and made them a great metal band to get into. So that's why this is at number 9 because it was pretty influential. Now, of course, I'm mentioning stuff that's in my collection that I have. There probably would have been stuff that I don't have that I would mention. I mean, another honorable mention that I don't have out right now would have been probably Testament with Practice What You Preach. That would have been another contender I should have probably brought out to show you. I do have that, but that's the only Testament I have. At number 8, and these would have been higher in the 80s for sure, of course, because they are part of the big four as they called them. And I would have to go with this one by Anthrax because although I would say that probably somewhere in uh, not somewhere in time. I'm thinking the wrong thing. But Persistence of Time or State of Euphoria are probably my two favorite ones, which I have kind of on the box set here. I mean, I do have, although I do have Spraying the Disease, I kind of still want to keep that. I know I have it on here. I do have Spraying the Disease on there, the first one, but I like having the actual CD also, so I like to keep both copies. But that was influential because I think the first thing I ever heard was Madhouse, right? But my two favorite Anthrax songs, I would say in many respects, is AIR and Lone Justice. That's where I coined the phrase Iron Lung Joey Belladonna, the singer. I called him Iron Lung Joey because the way he belts out those songs, it's so powerful. And when I used to dabble in singing, those were the two songs that I would use to uh, to open up my vocal cords and to be able to get higher range. And to try to do it the way that Joey does it, yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult, but I used to do that back then. Not in front of an audience, but like just singing out loud, because the heavy metal for me was a great thing for me to sing out loud to growing up, and that of course, to the chagrin of my parents and my grandparents. They hated that, but it was something I loved and got into. Now, where am I at? I think this is number. Okay, let's see. So Ozzy, that was 10, 9, 8. Number 7 is Voivod Nothing Face. Yeah, I need to get more Voivod. This is this this is the only one I have, and I had to order that. And it like no, I didn't order that. It was they finally had it at Frank's Music, and I had to get it right away. And this is the Japanese import. This one has has all the liner notes in Japanese in there. I show you that quickly. See, it's all in Japanese, all the lyrics and everything, all in Japanese, and I love that. I love this. I mean, the packaging is perfect. To have this on CD, because I used to have it on cassette, but to have this on CD, awesome, awesome, love it. That's at number 7. At number 6, although this album by KMFDM, World War III, is my favorite album of KMFDM. My most influential one was probably this here, because the very first song and video I ever seen of them was a Drug Against War, and and then eventually getting angst and so on and so forth. But this one, because of a Drug Against War, yeah, this I had to get this eventually. And yeah, the first video and song I had heard, and so now because of that, I have all as much I have like over almost 30 albums of KMFDM. Pretty much, yeah, pretty much 30 albums of KMFDM. It's probably one of my most extensive collections, next to my Rush collection. Rush is not on this list, unfortunately. I mean, they're heavy, but I didn't really get influenced by them until later on. But these would beat Rush out for sure. At number 5, number 5, I would have to go with Ministry. And again, this is my favorite album, which is called The Last Sucker, and I love that. I love how that changes. It's my favorite album, but that wasn't what got me into them. It was this album called "The Land of Rape and Honey," and the song, of course, was "Stigmata," and it was first mentioned by Kurt Hammett of Metallica that he was listening to a band called Ministry, and in particularly the song Stigmata. And then I had seen the video, and I was like, yeah, I love Ministry. I think they're a pretty heavy band, and again, especially in the 80s and early 90s, I was in the heavy stuff, the heavy music. So this was a part of my education for heavy music back then. Again, people might consider them industrial metal or industrial rock, but I'm going with the category of heaviness. Yeah, this is this here and World War III of KMFDM. I would have to say these two are the heaviest albums I own. I don't think I have anything that's heavier than these. These are the heaviest, as in whoa, they crunch, they rock. Now at number 4, and although this, okay, by Iron Maiden, Live After Death is my favorite, one of my all-time favorite live albums. It is so good. But it comes off the heels of this album, which is Power Slave. And it was this album that really made me love Iron Maiden. It is my favorite studio album of Iron Maiden, hands down. Every song on it is awesome. I remember singing to that so often growing up. So this is why Iron Maiden is at number 4. Again, the most influential, you know, heavy. I don't want to say metal, but heavy albums that I have now in my collection. At number 3, okay, and it is this one still is my favorite album of this artist, of this group, and that's Master of Puppets by Metallica. Of course, that was introduced to me by a good friend, a childhood friend I have not seen in since my teenage years. But he introduced me to this. He said, "Come on, I want you to come over and hear this for the first time." And this, I think, was probably my first introduction to heavy metal, to thrash metal. Before that, I was into stuff like AC/DC, a little bit of Ozzy Osbourne, and those were because of the videos. But at the time when I first heard this was the heaviest thing I had heard, like far beyond anything previously. And then I became a real fan of heavy metal. And well, I consider this heavy metal more than thrash metal. I consider only the first 2 Metallica albums of Kill 'Em All and Ride the Lightning as thrash metal. I consider this a little bit more heavy metal than thrash metal. But that's my opinion. You could disagree with that, but that's why this is at number 3. After hearing this, Metallica became my second favorite band after I, got disillusioned and fell out of Kiss. This was my favorite band for a little bit less than a decade, about 91, 92, when I started, feeling that I wanted something a little bit more with substance and depth. Now, this one here at number 2 is a much more recent development. I think it's heavy, although they have heavier albums. As I'll point out, I don't have them out right now, but I'm talking about King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, one of the most energetic, most wildest, and one of my it's my second favorite album of all time right now. Like, it just, like, it blows me away how awesome this is. Although Murder of the Universe and Infest the Rat's Nest is heavier and more in line with what I used to listen to in my teenage years, this here is just like I consider this heavy, very heavy, but energetic and just so woo. Every time they go woo in this album, it just elevates it, and the whole circular nature of it, how bits of songs from one song end up in the other songs and so on and so forth. This is a mind-boggling, awesome album, and yeah, it's my second favorite album of all time. And you're probably going to guess what number 1 is, of course. Now, although this is my favorite album of all time, okay, and influential as it is, I cannot consider this the most influential one that there is. I have to take that spot to Opiate, their official, first EP before their full length album of Undertow. This here made Tool my favorite band of all time, and it's always going to be my favorite band of all time. I mean, if I would have imagined where they would have ended up with when I first heard this, when it was only this, and I say late 92 or maybe early 93 when I first heard this, all from a skateboard video, and then seeing seeing the video for Hush. On the skateboard video that my best friend had showed me, it was Part of Me that they played, and I remember loving it so much that I had to go and find this and get this. And when I first heard this, and especially with the last song of Opiate and how powerful that was, and awesome. Yeah, yeah, it instantly became my favorite band of all time and still is today. And that's why this has to be at number one, because it just, yeah, it changed all of these kind of changed my life in many respects, but none so much more than this. It gave me a new attitude. It gave me a new way of looking at music, and it was what I was searching for and what I needed. So that's why that has to be number one. All right, I am done with that one, with this episode here. And if you are watching this for the first time, please consider subscribing to my channel, because you know I will greatly appreciate it and love you forever. Comment. Tell me if you want to see me doing a watching video with Fight Club and that. And look forward to some more videos this week. I'm going to try to pump out as many videos as I can. I'm getting closer to the 700th video, which I do want to complete before the end of the year, which I had said at the beginning of the year that I wanted to do, you know, and then next year, I want to do 800 more videos before the end of 2025. And so like at 100, at least 100 videos per year. That's always going to be my goal, or more. Because I love doing these, and I want to just pump out as many videos as possible, because this is too much fun for me. All right, so I'm letting you go now. So please, everybody, just be safe. Take care. I will see you on the flip side. And please, everybody, just have a great day, evening, morning, night, afternoon, wherever you may be. Peace, everybody.